When did fake it until you make it backfire? A lot of the big instances of fraud came from fake it until you make it mentality. Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos were faking the technology until they could get it to work. Fee Festival was faking it until they could get the money together. Anna Delvey intended to make it one day, but she ponzied her way through until she would get there. Dr. Christopher Dunch, Drive Death, was a horrible back surgeon, but he kept operating and working on patients anyway. I tend to think fraudsters don't really intend to hurt other people, they are just grossly incompetent and trying to cover their asses. Guy I used to work with told me about when he used to work as an electrician apprentice at a plant. When there was nothing to do, which apparently was most of the time, the lead guy and him would walk out to a random spot in the plant with a ladder, a conduit bender and a bent piece of conduit. Then one of them would stand on top of the ladder and the other on the ground holding the conduit, and they'd just chit chat all day. If any of the bosses wandered by, they'd nod and pass the piece of conduit up to the guy on the ladder, who would then make a show of trying to fit it in somewhere. Said they both made it through 3 rounds of layoffs doing that. At Nelson Mandela's funeral, people took note of the sign language interpreter that seemed to just be making random hand gestures instead of actual sign language. Turns out he had made quite a few appearances previously and nobody had caught on that he knew literally no sign language. To me, this dude is just the poster child for fake it till you make it. This is apparently common. A sign language interpreter for the city of Tampa, Florida was fired after it turned out that she didn't know sign language and was just signing in gibberish. I hired a Mandarin translator for a game I'm developing. Ran her translations through Google Translate to find they were a good match. Too good a match. Showed it to a friend of mine who's from China. Told me the translator just Google translated everything and that the end result was barely comprehensible. Went to visit my older cousin in a big city, small town girl. Before going out, he told me that the friends we would be meeting are super snobby and would probably make fun of me if I told them I was from small town A. Today I would tell him to get better friends, but when I was 18 I just wanted to fit in. We agree I would tell them I'm from city X. So the blonde bombshell in the group, 6 years older, starts talking to me while my cousin and his friend head off to buy shots. Where are you from? City X. OMG, me too. She proceeds to ask me which school I went to, which coffee shop was my favorite, and where my parents work, just making polite conversation. Of course, I do the adult thing and confess, make up an entire fake life story. My cousin gets back to the table with the shots and I have never been more grateful for the opportunity to put alcohol in my mouth and stop words from coming out. At seeing me knock back my shot like an animal, my cousin forgets our cover story and loudly proclaims, "Good God, you don't have to drink like you do in small town, just chill." I did not look at bombshell for the rest of the night. I have seldom wanted the earth to swallow me as much as I did in that moment. I just heard in a podcast about a guy who lived on an army base for 3 years posing as a soldier until he got caught due to drinking and driving. The guy apparently was well known and went so far as to brief incoming soldiers on and even responded to a bomb threat since he posed as an EOD tech. The guy responds to bomb threats and gets caught because of a DUI. Lol. A few years ago I got a job interview after months of looking. I was desperate. I thought I was going to be working in the mailroom for the city, but when I arrived it turned out it was for delivering mail between city offices. Okay, no big deal, I can do that. Well, in my province we have G1, learners, G2, still have some restrictions about when/who you can drive with, and G, full license. Well, I needed my full G for the job, but hadn't gotten around to doing the test. No big deal. I thought, I'll just go along and schedule a test as soon as possible, hopefully before any paperwork needs to be done. So I went through the interview and I think I'm home free, but no. They want to do a driver's test right then and there, and I need to present my license to the testing company. Thinking quick, I tell them I don't have my license on me. Well, they need it, and they were willing to find a city employee to drive me back out to my house, 30 minimums away, and get it. Backed into a corner I finally have to admit that I don't have my G license. I blurted it out and basically ran out of the office and didn't look back. Still one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. Okay, I guess it ultimately didn't backfire, but it's a pretty good story I was told in film school years ago. Back in the 80s/90s, a guy snagged an interview for a camera operating job at a TV production company that was way above his experience level. The interviewer gave him a camera, said okay, take this apart and lay it all out for me. You have 20 minutes, and left him there. After panicking for a minute, he walked down the hall, found a technician working, and asked him to take apart the camera for him, which he did. Interviewer comes back, says, good work. Now put it back together, and goes off to put out some other fires. Our guy tracks down the tech, who obliges again, and he was hired. When I heard this story, the guy had worked in the field 15 or so years, so I guess things worked out. Got a part-time job as a bartender to help with bills. Told them I knew how to bartend. I can pour a whiskey, coke and beer, so just figured I'd pick up the rest as I went along. First week I was serving to get to know the menu and someone called in sick. Owner makes me bartend. So I'm doing fine, just beers and a few mixed drinks. Then a party of about 40 people coming from a wedding come in and starts asking for all these different shots, different specialty drinks, etc. Totally shit my pants. I took orchestra in elementary school and I eventually realized that I was just not going to understand violin. But I still wanted to be in orchestra because it had some perks. So, whenever we had lesson, I put my fingers over the strings and moved my bow around like I meant it. When we had to play individually, I had to do it for real. I thought maybe, by some miracle, I'd get it and play normally. I didn't. Edit. AI thanks for the silvers and the upvotes, and thanks for sharing your stories. I play the piano, not well, but decently. I can't cipher it, but I can practice from notes and play a piece of music. My friend was studying music in college and needed to find a piano player to accompany her during class. I told her I could do it because I played piano, but I didn't really understand what that meant. I assumed I'd be able to practice the music beforehand. They wanted someone to be able to play a piece of music on the spot, sight unseen, while she sang. I couldn't do it. I faked it for 2 sessions and the instructor told my friend she had to get another accompanist because I was not good enough. I felt like a douchebag. Open bracket. This happened to a friend of mine. He is socially awkward and didn't feel like he could ask out the girl he wanted to, so he asked out her friend. She was, let's be honest, she was like a 3. He was realizing it wouldn't work, then she gave him a handmade quilt and he felt bad. Fast forward about 5 years after that, he kept the relationship going. Then he finds out she has been cheating on him with a mutual friend. They were engaged in a month and married less than a year later. My advice is be honest and move on. Talked my way into an internship with a neuroscience lab that regularly implanted devices into monkeys' brains as an undergraduate. Luckily this did not result in any dead monkeys, as I had only been brought on to help process their data. However, the issue was that they were using MATLAB, and I had vastly overplayed a basic understanding of Python gleaned from a side project on algorithms back in high school. They also simultaneously tried to give a crash course in neuroscience to little old freshman me, so I could be vaguely familiar with the data I was working with. Fun fact, brain surgery is not easy to learn. Yeah, I was politely asked to leave after about 2 or 3 months of banging my head against the wall. Pretty sure I wasn't able to contribute a single line of code or useful data analysis to their project. I did get a cool ceramic monkey mug out of it though, which was nice. So I'm sort of in this situation now. I know how to do my specific job, but due to me being hired late and getting thrown into the job, I didn't really onboard correctly with the company I actually work for. I work in outreach, so I'm off-site 10 months/year. Well, my boss resigned last week and now I'm in limbo cause I have been there long enough where I should know where things are and who is who and how things run, but I know nothing and just sort of kept to myself and did my own thing while on site. I'm slightly worried that, now that I don't have a direct boss, that if I'm told to do something I will have no clue how to do it. Not exactly my fault because of the situation, but I foresee an awkward conversation in my future. Phantasma here, hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to sub for more.